realizes when we set the date. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, 68 years ago today, I knew I wouldn't be able to do it. Anyway, I was a lifeguard at the Austin Municipal Pool. It was Saturday afternoon, it was slow. And I looked up and here comes two good-looking women. One was really quite outstanding. So I said, one of my swimmers who was there talking, I said, go over to that girl with a yellow stripe in the suit and tell her to come over here, I want to talk to her. Well, he went over and he came back and he said, she told me to tell you go fly a kite. And so afterwards I walked over to her and I introduced myself and she told me her name. She was Grand Meadow. And we had a nice talk and I asked her for a date. And she said, I don't go out with strangers. So I looked up her phone and I called her 3 times. She always had an excuse. She was working at Dayton's and she was this and that. So I was about ready to give up and I called her the 4th time and she said yes. Well, I said I work until 8:30. And so, I went to Grand Meadow, I got there at 9. The town closes at 5 o'clock. So we went to the outdoor theaters and we talked about ourselves. She told me about the Princess K, the Milky Way, and everything she did. And I talked last because I didn't have that much to talk about. So we dated off and on, and then after the 3rd date, we were, and a minute, if I drove into the driveway, the light went on. There was that light every night when I brought her back. And if I was she was in the car more than 5 minutes, the light blinked. So I had to take her, let her out and she'd hop in. She said to me, she said, we discussed you at dinner today. And she said, you didn't come out very well. She said, first of all, are you Norwegian? No, I'm not Norwegian. Her mother and dad, well, Grandma's asking these questions. And Grandma, of course, is a first-generation Norwegian. She came over to this country. And Clarence and Margaret grew up talking Norwegian. So every time they would get excited or want something for us not to know, they would talk Norwegian. So I wasn't a Norwegian. Then the next thing they asked me if I was a Lutheran. I wasn't a Lutheran. Oh boy. Then the next thing they asked me if I was a farmer. I said, no, I wasn't a farmer. Grandma says, well, what does he do for a living? And she says, he's a lifeguard at the Austin Pool. She says, that doesn't have a big future, does it? So, anyway, we went on and we talked. And she said, well, the only time I can see you after the coronation of the secondary princess. And that'll be about 8 o'clock at night. And I will meet you, but I have my friend with me, a girl named Bev Anderson. So I brought a friend with me and we went out. First thing we did was have to eat the food. And it went down very slow, very fast. And then we started on those damn rides. And I had to go over and dispose of those foods. So I went back and we did the things. Well, long story short, she went to, as a freshman at the University of Hamlin. She became a cheerleader. She became involved in the choir or whatever it was. So I went back to Oklahoma And I called her mother and wanted her number. Her mother couldn't find her number. I don't know why. Anyway, finally got her number and we talked and we corresponded. We came home that summer and I was very lucky. I got to come in the house. And Grandma, I met her sister and Carl and her brother and Ronnie and her daughter, her sister, her wife Darlene, and a lot of pigs. You know, I grew up in a different community than they did. There would be usually 4 tables of cards. She tried to teach me how to play. Anyway, I didn't do very well. And then, when they didn't go they didn't have a party on Saturday night, they would go to a little place called T.O.P. Don't look for it in the because you won't find it. I think there's 3 houses and an old beer joint, but they did have a dance floor and we go dancing. When the Turf had a nice dance, we would go there. Well, things went well. We had a lot of fun. And then she invited me at the house for a Sunday dinner. I went up there and we were sitting there and she told her mother and dad, I'm gonna go to this University of Oklahoma next year. Her mother and dad started talking Norwegian. I know to this day that when something was bothering him, they talked Norwegian. And finally, Margaret says, Grandpa says he'll buy you a new convertible if you go to the Austin Community College. She said, no, I've already called, I've enrolled, I've sent my deposits for the dormitory, and I'm going. Well, that was it. Her mother took her down 3 weeks early so she could go through Rush. When I got down there, she had already 3 dates. And so I always laughed. But she chose Tri-Delt sorority, brand new sorority, because she was a sophomore, she could move in. So we went through the year and everything. After about, maybe 8 weeks, she called. She says, I've signed you up with me for ballroom dancing. I was very excited about that. And then we went along and she said, I'm going to sign us up for Kappa Kappa Gamma. They have a card club there. They teach different card games. So we went over there and it was fun, but I didn't let her know it. Anyway, then things went on, and every Sunday we went to a different church until we found one we liked, and we liked the Methodist, and I kind of liked him. He was a nice guy. And I asked him one question. I said, do the Methodists pray to the same God as the Lutheran? And he said yes. I wanted to get that out of the way. So we came home during Easter. We got our parents together. Now we're 19 and 20 years of age. And we said to our parents, we're going to get married. And there was no fan there, but there was something else. Everybody, Margaret and Clarence were talking, my mother and dad, and we had wonderful parents. My dad just sat back, didn't say anything. Clarence just talked to Margaret. But my mother was known to be able to express herself. She had 101 ways why we shouldn't get married. So we argued and we argued, and she finally said, well, we either get married here in the Grand Meadow Lutheran Church, or we're going to get married in the Methodist Church in Norman. So they gave in. Now, I would be a senior the next year, but I was in ROTC. So I had to spend 6 weeks in the ROTC playing soldier. So I went in the first week of June, and I got out at the first week of August. And so we set the date for the 17th. Then I came home and got ready for everything, and I got sick. I got kidney infection, and 102 tenth. The doctor said we can't let him have the wedding, we're going to cancel it. Well, Eleanor told the doctor where to go. We have 500 guests. We had the food to feed in the basement of the church. We were married. I wasn't I was kind of doped up a little bit. I was lucky to have a good best man. Where is he? Stand up, Bob.
Where's Bob?
Did he leave or go home? Where's he?
No,
There he is.
he's coming. He's coming.
That's my brother. If he comes out.
He's coming up, he's coming.
He's too long-winded. He's only 93.
He's only.
But he took charge.
I know your dad.
He took charge and kind of organized everything and made things worthwhile.
Oh, yeah!
Don't say any more good things about me.
So anyway, we were married. We had the meal, we had the dance, and I hid the car. I got to tell you something. Our mother and dad gave us a brand new car.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Now, I'm going to read you some statistics. Get my glasses. In 1937, the average income was $4,600. The new car cost $2,157. A loaf of bread cost 19 cents. A gallon of gas cost 24 cents. A pound of coffee cost 90 cents. An ounce of gold cost 35. The income per household was $12,225. Eisenhower was president, Nixon was vice president. The Dow Jones average, Janet, was 470. Why the hell didn't I invest then? The minimum wage was $1. Life expectancy was 70 or 69.6. Hubert Bogart died at 57 of cancer. Little Rock sent the army there, but we don't care about all that. Here's the thing. The Academy Award was the best picture, was A Bridge on the River Kwai. The best actor was Alice Guinness. The best actor was Joanne Woodward. The music, All Shake Up, Catch a Falling Star, Yellow Bird, and Mama Guitar. Well, that's the time I grew up. Well, we graduated. By then, we had Tammy on May 12th. And what in the hell we're gonna do? I had a teaching certificate, and we called the best high school in Oklahoma City, Clawson. Their starting wage was $2,850. So we had them put in the paper, or the emplacement bureau to send out my resume to the whole they could find. We got it, places 4,100, 3,100, and so on. We were really looking forward to making big money. So we went back to Austin, we got an apartment, and went to work in the pool. Then my mother called me and said, "This woman has called me a dozen times. Will you come over to the house?" We didn't have a phone. We didn't have. So I went over and I called this woman. Her name was Charlotte. She says, "I've got an opening in the business department and we want to start a swimming program." She says, "We'll pay you $41 for teaching and $500 to start a program." That's $4,600. That's almost a standard interest. So she said, "Where? Yuma, Arizona." We didn't know where the hell Yuma was. So we went and got encyclopedia. We looked it up right in the corner of California and Arizona and Mexico. And she said housing is very tight because we have an army base 12 miles. So we're smart. We went. Clarence, her dad and I went up to Minneapolis and we bought a 35-foot house trailer. We put a hitch on the car and we said it would take us 4 days. Well, we're very smart. We got down there the third day, we had to get in. We crossed the desert in the middle of the day. Nobody in their right mind would cross the desert. Remember, in 1957, there was not a thing called air conditioning. We were halfway across. Eleanor was in her underwear. I was in a tank suit. And Tammy was in a diaper. We walked, got there. We saw a trailer court with a pool. That's as far as we got. Now, I want you to know I learned how to teach in a sauna because the school was hot. And so anyway, time went and so on. The last day of school, she drove up. We had a little trailer. Away we went. They offered me $1,000 if I come back. I wanted to say 20,000, but I so we went back, and I had a week before we had to go to Fort Lee, Virginia, to go into the Army in the Quartermaster Corps. Supposed to be there 2 years, but after about 5 months, they said no. We have too many people coming back from Korea. You're going to be in the reserve 7.5. So we went to the University of Minnesota. I worked on my master's. Then we came to Rochester. Well, Rochester was a wonderful place for us. Some of our first friends, they're Sets Engleharts.
Engelhart.
Anyway, we started a bridge club. 40 years we had that bridge club. We're the only ones left. But anyway, our years went. Everything was happy. Then I started the swimming pool business with Eleanor. And then we brought our son in, and it grew fast. And at the time, we did little business. I took a car and I go from all the places. And as time we grew, and we were making money. So we had this guy named Harold Grady come down. He was one of the owners of CDI. He wanted our business. Well, I wasn't very happy with CDI because they had a guy named Red Mulvaney. He was down there selling pools away from me. I wasn't very damn happy with it. And so anyway, we finally got, but here's where our lives really changed. We joined CDI. They took and gave us a trip every year. We took 30-some trips with them. Now, we went all, the first one, how many, Jenny?
Oh, that was in Acapulco, the first one. I
Right.
think it was in 70, we think 75.
75.
We can't remember exactly, but we're close.
And the first guy I met on the trip was in front of me. I couldn't see anything because he was so damn big. Thirdly there, we had a great deal of fun. Well, we went through all these. In our lifetime, Eleanor and I, as much as we can determine, we made close to 48 of pools, or 48 trips. And we went all over the world. Lots of fun. And I can't thank you, Jenny, and your mother and dad were wonderful. And my life, our life changed because she loved to travel. Well, now, life been very good to us. She was a wonderful woman. She was easy to live with, you know, and she made me ski. She made me play tennis. I just think what I'd have been. Well, I had to learn to dance. I had to learn to play cards. I had to play tennis. I had to do all ski. And we went all over the world. I'm going to tell you one story and then I'm done.
No, it isn't nice.
Anyway, she had a way with her. And I contribute the success of Thatcher Pools because when a customer came in, so many of our customers became our friends because she took such an interest to talk to them, easy to communicate with. Well, we were, I don't know if it was the Grassos, let us off on the Switzerland border from Italy, and we went to this little town, Lutzen or something, on a nice lake, and we went in to eat. We asked this young guy, and I said, Eleanor's thing, what would you recommend if you brought your girlfriend? Well, he says there's 4 things. He brought us 4 samples. The hell, we couldn't eat after we had the 4 samples. But he said, can you ski? And we said, yes. And we're in our 60s now. So he said, you got to go to this little town and go up to this mountain. So he said, you have a credit card? I said, yes, I give me a credit card. He said, you got a room up there now. You go to this little town and you take this trance up to the town. So we got there and got to our room. Next morning we went up to get our tickets and stuff. But right along was all these places where we rented skis and maids. So we had all our ski stuff. So we walked in, paid our ticket, and we looked, and the lift was probably 2,000 yards. There sat 3 horses, and in the horse there was a rope, and on every 5 feet was a board. We got on the board, and the horses took us up the hill. So that was a first for us. And we skied for 4 hours, and then the storm came. So we couldn't see. So we went into the chalet. It was packed. So we looked around, and Eleanor found this little place about 12 inches. And she said to the girl, "Can I sit here?" The girl didn't say, so Eleanor sat down. And she said, "Can any of you speak English?" Nobody said a word. So we sat down there, and Eleanor asked questions. And Eleanor started talking, and they started asking questions. And after a while, everybody at the table was asking questions, and she was talking. And they said, "Would you join us for our party tonight? She has a birthday and their anniversary." And she looked back, and she said, "Can I bring him?" And they said yes. So we went down to this condo where they were, and I have to say, I've never seen so many different foods in my life. It was a smorgasbord, and we ate, and I can't tell you how much we had fun. They were jolly. Then all of a sudden, we have to dance. The music started, and they went up and down. Well, our life was like that. I never knew what to expect. I could tell them about going to Italian with Lauren, shouldn't I? Anyway, I want to thank you all to come today. It's really been a pleasure to see you and talk to you. And if Eleanor here, she would really been pleased. I gotta say one thing. You know, in life, when you have children, your children sometimes get married and you don't know what you're gonna get for an in-law. You know, it's a draw. But I've gotta say, I got 2 good ones. Lori and Tom. Good. Thank you.
I've had some people that want to ask. I'm going to let my son take this microphone around.